Hey, what's going on? NPC the Game live broadcast here. That's different, huh? This is Gabriel coming from Taiwan. Good to have you. Usually Chicken Snake was here early. What's up, man? How's it going? Good to see you. Lady Luck, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Markella and Wicked, always a pleasure. Yeah, thanks for all of you guys being. This is cool. This is cool. What's going on, Ben? Good to have you. You're listening. Whenever you're listening. Yeah, he said, Lady Luck said, I enjoyed part one of this. It's fun, huh? Morbid Facts with Conspiracy. We had to do it again. It was a lot of fun. I have to say, made me think about Scorpio. And Ben, these are all things that you can go back and listen to, and see how these relate to what's going on in your life, in your situation. Because it's kind of heavy, but Scorpio definitely is something. All these signs, you can use them as a template, as a catalyst for your imagination, or a catalyst to help you figure out what's really going on, or it could be a jump off point to help you work through a situation you're going through. Kind of like a walking meditation. What's going on, Brands Boy? What's up, man? Good to see you. How's it going, Wheels? It says NBC, we hope all is well for you and yours. Yeah, it's been a wild 24 hours. Miss NBC was a little sick lately, and coming to find out, she got COVID. And he had got it before, and it's not as serious as it was last time, but still, I mean, it's fucking. Anyone that's had it knows it's. As loved ones that had it, it's not fun, But she's pushing through. We all get better. We all get better. And that's something that you can use to your advantage, something that's quote unquote negative sickness, because when you come out of it, out the other end, a lot of times you feel stronger. Right? But yeah. So welcome back to everybody to the live stream. We mix the stars with the streets and the cosmos with the chaos, and we decode life through this thing we call astrology, aka your personality on default. Now tonight, we're going to dive into part 2, into the deepest and darkest and probably the realest energy in the zodiac, and I'm talking about the sign of Scorpio. That's my sun sign, and my moon sign, and my Venus sign, and my Uranus sign. This Scorpio is the sign of death and transformation, and morbid truths, and unbreakable powers. Yeah, what's going on? London man, lay low. Speaking of unbreakable, yeah, you can't hold London man down, man. He's always rising to the top. Yeah, check out London Man's channel. Let's get London Man's channel. Mods, can you help me put his channel in the chat? Yeah, so we can highlight that. Good to have you, London Man. Everyone watching. Now, Ben, when I'm talking about Scorpio, don't get scared off by the skulls and shadows. Let me put this on you, though. The Scorpio energy isn't about dying. It's about learning how to live better by confronting what other people are scared to face. And if you're ready to stop running from your own power and start dominating like a spiritual savage, this energy is for you, Ben. And so let's get into it. Let's get into it. This is London Man. Thank you, Markella. Thank you, wonderful mods. You guys are awesome. Very look at both of you. London Man. Thank you, Lady Luck. Thank you so much. Both y'all. Cheers. Shout out to Ben. I love what you just said that. Shout out to Ben. Leopard print. Shout out to leopard print. Yeah. So thank you, ladies, for that. Let's get into it. So what makes Scorpio the sign of death? Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. Remember we had Joe Cool as Pluto resonated. The planet of death and rebirth and power and control and transformation. And it's the part of us that says, let it die if it ain't real. Turn your trauma into strength. Scorpio energy lives in the basement. Basement dwellers lives in the basement of the soul, and it walks you through your grief. It peeks behind the curtains, and I think it's fascinating to see it. And Scorpio is fascinated by the things we don't talk about in polite society: sex, power, betrayal, secrets, and yes, death. And here's the thing, Ben: death in Scorpio in astrology doesn't always mean literally death. It can mean ego death, the death of your old habits, the death of illusions, and sometimes the death of a relationship that was fake anyway. So if you've been through pain or betrayal or loss or having some like identity crisis, congratulations, Ben. That's your Scorpio initiation, and you're still here. Right, you're still here. We're still working it out. Perhaps with a comment. I put my feet up and just lay low because most of these truth pages on the payroll. A fun rap like KJV reminds me of every time he says lay low. I love it. Lay low. Yeah. Lay low. Yeah. So let's look at this morbid truth. These things that Morbid Truth shares, they're kind of a way of getting us not so scared about things that we should be aware of. For example,
best known for playing Principal Edward Rooney. Jeffrey Jones, best known for playing Principal Edward Rooney in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, is a registered sex offender. He was arrested in 2002 for possession of CP and soliciting a 14-year-old boy to produce explicit images. Jones photographed the child over an 8-month span, paying him to pose undressed, wearing a cowboy hat with stuffed animals, or dressed as a Native American. This is what toilets looked like in many medieval castles. There were a few cases of assassins climbing up these poop chutes and waiting for their targets to sit down before...
Yeah, Jeffrey Jones from Ferris Bueller. That's a shame. I remember hearing about that. So he was grooming people, huh? Principal Rooney. What's up, Max Visions? Remote viewing class. Yeah, we got to get you. We got to find out more about that. I'm interested in remote viewing. I always think about this. When I think of remote viewing, I think of the CIA research on that, hearing stories about that, and people like changing their lives for the better. Kind of like closed circuit TV in real time. That sounds cool. Yeah.
Cowboy hat with stuffed animals, or dressed as a Native American. This is what toilets looked like in many medieval castles. There were a few cases of assassins climbing up these poop chutes and waiting for their targets to sit down before killing them.
The poop chute, so you got to crawl through the crap, this crapper, all the shimmy all the way up, and then do whatever you got to do to eliminate your target.
In 1977, Leonard Skater drummer Artemis Pyle survived the plane crash that killed half the band. He then walked to a nearby house for help, only to be shot by the homeowner. He apparently saw a bloody, long-haired man and fired a warning shot that hit the drummer in the shoulder. Once Pyle shouted that there was a plane crash that killed all of his friends, the farmer helped him and he went on to fully recover. Jeffrey Jones, best known for playing Principal Edward Rooney in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, is a registered sex offender.
Yeah, we get that. Not funny. Yeah, so the guy from Leonard Skater, he survived the plane crash only to be shot by a farmer who was trying to get help from.
Morbid Facts, Part 633. In 2015, Selena Gomez was diagnosed with lupus, an autoimmune disease that began attacking her kidneys and led to life-threatening complications. By 2017, her condition had worsened to the point where she required a kidney transplant to survive.
Wow, kidney transplant. Yeah.
Her close friend Francia Raisa volunteered to donate one without Selena even asking, and while the transplant initially appeared to be successful, Gomez suffered a serious complication when the new kidney twisted inside her body, cutting off blood flow.
Oh no.
Doctors had to perform emergency surgery, using a vein from her leg to construct a new artery to save the organ. The experience left her with lasting physical and emotional scars, and although it deepened her bond with Raisa at the time, their relationship later became strained, reportedly because of Selena's drinking habits following the surgery, which Raisa felt was disrespectful to her and even dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, she gave up her kidney, man. Raisha, she's putting her life on the line by having one less kidney. Yeah.
Considering the seriousness of the surgery and the need to protect the donated organ.
You can see any more. Put your morbid facts in the chat. And he says that Hindenburg Fire with a psyop to remove the driftable technology from the masses. Yeah, hey man, that sounds something that's plausible. Boy, I leave it at that.
Known for his roles in Weird Science, Titanic, and Twister, in 2017, actor Bill Paxton underwent heart surgery to repair an aortic aneurysm and replace a valve, a procedure that his family later claimed was high-risk, unconventional, and perhaps not even necessary. The surgeon, Dr. Ali Koinazad, had allegedly been warned by the hospital for his poor judgment in past cases, but he still performed the operation. According to the lawsuit, Paxton was never properly informed of the risks involved or the surgeon's history. In the days following the procedure, Paxton initially appeared to be recovering well and even spoke with his family. But without proper monitoring, and with the surgeon having left the hospital, complications soon arose, including internal bleeding, cardiac instability, and worsening organ function. Despite his declining condition, no adequate care was administered in time. Paxton ultimately suffered a massive stroke and died shortly afterwards, in what his family described as a preventable cascade of medical negligence.
Well, I didn't even know Bill Paxton was dead. Yeah. That's that picture on the right from Weird Science. Wow. We put this trust in doctors, and yeah, they can still get jacked up. That's the thing. Doctors are people too, right?
Morbid Facts, Part 293. Japan has always been known for its wacky game shows, but in 1998, one particular show took this to the extreme. A man nicknamed Nasubi was selected to be locked inside of an apartment with nothing but a supply of water and thousands of magazines. He was challenged to enter
So water and magazines only.
Mail-in sweepstakes until he won about $10,000 in prizes, but he was given no food, no clothes, and no form of human contact. His only means of survival were the items he won from the magazines. The man was told it was only experimental and that he was to record himself for a later broadcast. But in reality, his entire experience was live-streamed to an audience of tens of millions of people to watch and make fun of. There are times when...
Wait a minute, that's the real-life Truman Show.
Nasubi went weeks without food and was fortunate to win items such as dog food and uncooked rice. On one occasion, he won a can of spaghetti after starving for days, but he couldn't eat it since he didn't have a can opener. When Nasubi would break down mentally...
Oh, man, that's diabolical. No can opener, and you finally get some food?
...and cry in front of the camera, the show's producers would play a laugh track to the audience so that they would find it funny. After 355 days of pure isolation and torture, Nasubi had achieved his goal. but the show had become far too popular for producers to end. So in the middle of the night, he was blindfolded and taken to a new apartment, where he was given the task of winning enough magazine prizes to win a plane ticket back home. This goal was revised several times to the point where it took Nasubi an extra 3 months to finally win the game show. He was again blindfolded and brought to a final apartment where the walls suddenly dropped and he was met with a massive live audience. Still naked and confused, Nasubi would soon realize that his endeavors were live broadcasted the entire time. The entire experiment lasted about 15 months in total, and the horrific show broke many TV records with a peak of about 17 million viewers each night. For months and even years after the ordeal, Nasubi reported being uncomfortable in clothing and struggled heavily with human interaction. Morbid Facts, Part 200.
Yeah, man, that is very cruel. Very, very cruel. That's some nasty work. That's the thing, man. Scorpio is shadow work, and shadow work equals power. I'm sure he came out of it stronger, and this is definitely opportunity for shadow work. That's very sad. Yeah, very sad. Real quick about Scorpio, as I remember, Scorpio is what we call a fixed water sign, and that means deep emotions. Stubborn intensity, but it's also the power to hold it down through anything. And this man went through one of the worst of worst, and he still pushed through. And just like these horrible morbid events, Scorpio teaches us too through these things, because you can't fake healing, you can't skip steps, but if you face it, you rise to the top. And this shadow work in action gives you access to more power. When you go through this type of hardships, you're able to spot fake friends and manipulators. Look at this. This production company was manipulating this man. And I'm sure when he came out of it, he had opportunities to heal from all the betrayal instead of letting it define him. I've seen him on the interviews before, I think, and he actually forgave those people. But he may have forgave him, but he certainly didn't forget about it. I would say if you're going through a really tough situation, use that emotional pain as fuel to create some purpose and some depth in your life. When a lot of times we're forced to dwell in the shallow in order to get along with people, but these traumatic experiences force us to see what we're made of. Because as we can see by looking at this man, he's someone that's been through hell. And if you can get through hell and walk with confidence, that's something that Scorpio is here to help us with. Because some of us have been to the underworld and we're back. You can't hold this down, right? The hospital, pharmacy, the insurance company, the morgues are all in cahoots to keep us alive. Death is in their hands, and now they know our lifespan is based on the main diet they give us. Yeah, the dying, right? Your food should be like a way of life, not diet. Yeah, Scorpios make definitely good artists. Definitely, they've been through the pain, man. Scorpios are good fighters too. Yeah, been through the hell. Markel speaking your language, Browns boy. Yeah, BGMH Music Hub. Good to see you, brother or sister. You never know some of these times, right?
The 1897 Battle of Sarigari is considered to be one of the greatest final stands in history. Just 21 soldiers of the Sikh regiment fought an army of 10,000 Afghans and killed more than 600 of them before being defeated. In Florida, 75-year-old exotic animal enthusiast Marvin Hos was fatally mauled by his pet cassowary, one of the most dangerous birds on the planet. Authorities believe he tripped and fell near the bird, triggering an aggressive response. The cassowary lashed out with its powerful legs, using its razor-sharp inner claws to slash Marvin's neck and torso apart. The man who had raised exotic animals for decades died en route to the hospital. The 1897.
Damn.
Just last week, 19-year-old Serbian model Tajana Rodanjich met a horrifying end during what was supposed to be a scenic parasailing shoot off the coast of Montenegro. Suspended 150 feet in the air above the Adriatic Sea, Tajana began to scream, "Put me down," in terror. Then, in a chilling act, she unbuckled her own harness while still in the air.
Holy crap, she's unbuckling that. Obviously, she had a fear of heights. When you're in an uncomfortable situation, easy to say now, but that's definitely a time to embrace it and see how you can get through it, so you can like have that fear die from you, so you don't literally die from it like this woman.
Air and released herself. Onlookers watched helplessly as her body plunged into the ocean below, likely dying immediately. She had received training just minutes before and showed no obvious signs of distress, making her decision to remove the harness all the more disturbing. Many have speculated that she suffered a sudden panic attack and attempted to ground herself while being disassociated from reality. Her body was recovered from the sea hours later, and parts of the incident were caught on video. Her family has disputed the claim that she panicked or acted irrationally, raising questions about the safety of the harness or if she was given improper instructions.
Wow, that's sad, man. I mean, you got to protect yourself too under the Scorpio Act. Protect your energy, and if you don't really want to do something like that, if it's that terrifying to you, but you're doing it just because the people you're with are like, "Come on, do it." Don't be afraid to put your boundaries on. Put your boundaries down, man. I wouldn't be afraid.
During an SAS training exercise in 1996, 21-year-old Bear Grylls broke his back after falling 16,000 feet when his parachute failed to open. His surgeon wasn't sure if Grylls would ever walk again, but the survival expert climbed Mount Everest just 18 months later, becoming the youngest Brit to ever do it. Here's a photo of 13-year-old Barbara Kent and her fellow campers playing in a New Mexico river, just hours before the first atomic bomb was tested 40 miles away from
Holy crap, 40 miles away
them. Over the next few days, the area was covered in fallout flakes that the campers thought was snow, only it was hot instead of cold. The US government had selected the site for its supposed isolation, but in reality, thousands of people were within a 40-mile radius and weren't evacuated nor warned before the test. Despite being diagnosed with 4 different types of cancers throughout her life, Barbara was the only girl in the above photo who lived past the age of 30, somehow making it to 83.
Wow, look at her, just loving life right there. That's horrible. That's where BHMG Music Hub, death is in our hands. Trusting the military, the government, they do something like that. That's shameful. Yeah. I mean, these morbid takes. So this is his. I mean, he's on YouTube. He's on TikTok. This guy Conspiracy, aka Morbid Thoughts, Morbid Facts. I think this is official YouTube. We're YouTubers here, so that's the mode we use. So here's his if you want to check it out, they're fun. I mean, the Scorpio energy definitely being morbid is a tool for your curiosity, and curiosity can lead to self-mastery. And Scorpio is definitely morbid, right? Because us Scorpios are drawn to true crime, psychology, and horror stories. The occult and conspiracy truther stories. Anything that reveals how ugly and raw the human experience can be is something that Scorpios love because it's not that it's weird, but it makes you wiser when you know these stories. Because if you know how to walk through the valley of death, then you'll never be scared of shadows again. That's the secret power to Scorpio. They know how dark the world can get, and we choose to rise anyway. You know, we keep rising to the top. What's up, Gracie Gray? Yeah. So y'all feel free to leave a donation, a YouTube donation. Get a membership, get those custom emojis, access to membership only lives. Hit me up on a disc and a membership. Nobody's done that yet today. Or a donation. You can do the Cash App too. Not Cash App. Buy me a coffee, but YouTube's easy. Check this out. This is the thing. Everyone has a tribe. Everyone has their tribe they can make. Everyone. Right. There's even a tribe for people who like to, now this is horrible, have sex with horses. That shows you that you can always find like-minded people around. Right.
In 2005, Kenneth Pinion, a renowned Boeing engineer known online as Mr. Hands, died after engaging in receptive intercourse with a stallion on a Washington farm, an act that was recorded by a friend. The incident caused a fatal perforation in his colon, and he was dropped off at a local hospital where he died shortly after.
Yeah, because in order to do that, you can't do that by yourself. There has to be someone trying to help you guide that thing in. That's disgusting. And he was part of the horse tribe. So if you're acting like a jerk out there on YouTube or offline, we're going to say you're part of the horse tribe. Okay?
Afterwards. As a direct result, the state passed a law in 2006 criminalizing both bestiality and the creation of such videos. In 2005,
don't be part of the horse tribe.
2005.
I wouldn't recommend it. What's going on? Flow State, TPD, Powder Dusty. What's up, big dog? What's going on, Cynthia? What's up? Cynthia's in the house. Yes. They in the house. The OGs of the Panelverse are in the house. Yeah, dropping bombs. Long Beach style, man. All right. What else we got going on for today? Morbid Truth. How to harness that Scorpio energy using death as an advisory. Scorpio. Self-mastery. Yeah. Getting it in there. Embrace the discomfort, right? These things, these stories can be very uncomfortable.
Morbid Facts, Part 295. In the summer of 2021, 40-year-old Jerry Smith was posing on Tinder as a woman named Angie Renee when he met 18-year-old football player Isemimen Itute. After they got together and went all the way with each other, Itute realized that Angie was a man. That's when the 6'3" linebacker stomped and beat the man to death. Just earlier this year, he was acquitted of all murder charges. This photo from the early 1900s shows nurses
watch out for those catfish
standing with mentally ill patients wrapped in wet linens. This treatment method was thought to be calming for patients, despite many of them constantly screaming to get out.
They wrap them like a wet burrito. Okay.
Here's a 1989 photo of South African spear fisherman Gio Von Nikkerk showing off his recent bite mark from a great white. He told reporters, quote, "It was a 1 in a million freak accident." While diving near Cape Town just 2 months afterwards, Gio went missing until his shark-bitten leg washed ashore a few days later. Morbid.
Couldn't get enough, huh? Could not get enough. You're an Athanathi. Nakashita and verdict, which is symbolized by a horse. So you are a part of the horse tribe in terms of your Vedic sign. Yeah. Well, good lucky for you. It's year of the horse next year. So you're hitting the ground running with all your successes in this year of the snake, which is my year, 1977. Next year, folks born in 1978, and then 12 years after that, and then 12 years after that, they're going to be loving that horse energy. That's the thing, though. When the at least this is lunar astrology, Chinese astrology. We think like, yay, the signs in our our birth year, But yeah, that could also mean that you're getting a lot of challenges, so you can become stronger as well. So it ain't all um, fun in the roses, sorry. Fun and roses. Do you like that? I made that shit up. What's up, Gary Baxter in the house?
My nigga.
See you, Gary. Yeah. We're just going over these morbid facts. How sometimes these uncomfortable news can actually bring us out the other end. If something uncomfortable happens or challenging, it kind of makes us stronger when we get through it.
Morbid Facts, Part 628. Growing up in sunny Burbank, California, Tim Burton often felt out of place, finding comfort and solitude at a cemetery at the end of his street, since it was a lonely and emotional place where no one would bother you. It became a quiet refuge where he could think undisturbed by himself, nurturing an early fascination with the macabre that would later define his unique Gothic style. Burton created the character of Edward Scissorhands to reflect his own feelings of isolation, with the image of a man with scissors for hands symbolizing the pain of wanting to connect with others but being unable to do so without causing harm. Morbid Facts, Part 626. Lady Gaga has publicly shared that when she was 19 years old, she was raped by...
Thank you, Leopard Print, for that. Yeah, I'm back. I was saying, anybody ever felt like Edward Scissorhands, Tim Burton? The more you try to reach out to people, the more you feel like you've been pushed away, or more chaos happens. You know, I guess that's the risk we all have, right? When we put ourselves out there to try to make friends. Yeah, but I guess it's a way of thinking. I mean, as a kid, knowing Tim Burton's story, he had a very bad fever, which led him to have fever dreams, and that's how he came up with a lot of his macabre, morbid characters from The Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah, man, you got to put yourself out there, but there's always risks. That's what we're trying to talk about here today: embracing the unknown in order to get stronger.
A music producer who left her pregnant and abandoned after... Morbid Facts, Part 626. Lady Gaga has publicly shared that when she was 19 years old, she was raped by a music producer who left her pregnant and abandoned after she became badly ill. She's never named the attacker, but recounted that the producer threatened to burn all of her music if she didn't comply with his demands. Gaga later revealed that the trauma led to years of physical suffering and ultimately caused a complete psychotic break. She has never disclosed what happened to the baby.
Yeah, they say Def Jam Records, Rob, we're gonna bust them out. Fariza was her producer when she was 18, 19 years old. You're welcome. Okay, that's fucked up, man. There always seems something very morbid and macabre about Lady Gaga. Yeah, what's Brown's boys saying? Coming with the heat today. Scorpios are very athletic too, always scoring in more than one way. Absolutely, scoring in the bedroom and scoring those points on the basketball court. Yeah, football field and baseball. Yeah, I mean, as a Scorpio, I love team sports. And you combine that with the Leo and Mars I had. Leo, self-expression. Mars, action. I mean, it makes for good athletes for sure. Frankenweenie. For sure. Who we got going? What we got?
On a British Airways flight in 1995, a woman was complaining of chest pain, so two doctors came over to check on her. They quickly realized she was suffering from a punctured lung and required immediate surgery. But But the problem was they couldn't land for help since the increase in air pressure could kill her.
Absolutely.
So they performed mid-air surgery on her using a coat hanger, silverware, and a bottle of cognac for sterilization. Within 10 minutes, they'd saved her life. On a British Airways.
Damn, that's very innovative. It is hard to be human at times, the leopard print. I mean, use the power to realizing that things are temporary, and that when we get through it, it makes us stronger. There's probably lessons to be learned. I don't know. For me, I guess that's a Scorpio thing. I love power, so things that make me stronger, even if they're comfortable, I say that's like bitter medicine, for the greater good.
If you had to take a dump back in ancient Rome, forget about privacy. Public latrines contained toilets that were lined side by side with no dividers, as these bathrooms were often social.
Wait a minute. The bathrooms were social hubs?
Lined side by side with no dividers, as these bathrooms were often social hubs where people would gossip while doing their business. Some latrines could seat over a dozen people at a time, elbow to elbow, making communal defecation a totally normal and accepted part of daily Roman life. Once they were done dropping some cargo, they also had to wipe themselves with a sponge on a stick that everyone shared.
Dropping some cargo. So everyone shared the sponge on a stick. Nice. Not really. Lady Gaga, Gary Baxter, Gaga gifted the baby to Marina Abramovich. How do you say her name? Yeah, that's that Aleister Crowley spawn. That woman that lets her do the spirit cooking. Right? Ew wee, leopard print. Everyone shares the communal stick. So if we were all in the Roman bath, the bathroom, maybe chopping it up on the stalls and pass me that stick over there, Gracie Gray. Hey, Lady Luck, here, you need to use it next. Leopard print. Okay, you have to wait. Okay, after we all use it. That's ridiculous, huh? Using that stick to wipe your butt. But it is what it is, right? You're not sharing? Oh, you're not wiping then. Oh, no, you're not sharing, she says. BHMG Music Hub says, standing in fear leads to sitting afraid. Yes, which leads to scared to push forward. That's why we should only fear God. Fearing anything else leads to scary thoughts, afraid to live. Diamond, control your fear. I like that. Yeah. Ew, as long as it's crusty. Come on, guys. That is bad. Bad news. We got some more.
When Carla Homolka met active serial rapist Paul Bernardo in 1987, they quickly formed a heinously criminal relationship. The pair would go on to grape and murder at least 3 young girls, including Carla's own little sister, Tammy. On Christmas Eve in 1990, Carla allegedly gave 15-year-old Tammy's virginity to Paul as a Christmas gift after drugging her with tranquilizers. Tammy ended up choking to death on her own vomit and died, after which Carla put on her deceased sister's clothes and proceeded to have intercourse with Paul on the girl's bed. Tammy's death was ruled an accident, and the couple went on to kidnap 2 more teenage girls, holding them captive for several days while abusing, sodomizing, and eventually killing them. When their crimes were uncovered, police found...
Jeez, the Canon Barbie killers? What the hell? Put a 1 in the chat. Have you heard of the Canon Barbie killers?
Videotapes of the couple performing these heinous acts on their victims. Carla managed to negotiate a plea deal known as the Deal with the Devil in exchange for her testimony against Paul. He's now spending the rest of his life in prison, while Carla is happily
look at her eyes.
Remarried with children.
Okay, married with children, Carla? That's horrible, bro. It's wild, huh, Cynthia? Damn, so Wiccan, yeah, my true crimers right here. So Scorpio energy. Lady Luck, Wiccan. Wow, that is a wild story. To say the least. That's the word I use now. Wild. I say that's crazy. Huh?
The creator of Rocket Raccoon is institutionalized due to brain damage from a hit and run in 1992. When Marvel made the Guardians of the Galaxy, they offered a compensation package that ensured care for the rest of his life. After he recovered from a series of...
That is a crazy story, if you know from the Guardians of the Galaxy, how Rocky, the raccoon, who looks like my Shiba Jr., he was raised in a lab, huh? and did experiments on him.
Severe health issues, Richard Pananyan's family sacrificed a lamb to God in hopes of keeping Richard healthy. But sadly, just 5 days later, Richard died in a bizarre car accident. He was ejected from his vehicle and landed on top of a highway street sign.
Wow.
Here's a mother and daughter from the Mongbitu tribe issues.
Yeah, somebody say maybe they did some that ritual might have did him in.
Richard Pananyan's family sacrificed a lamb to God in hopes of keeping Richard healthy. But sadly, just 5 days later, Richard died in a bizarre car accident. He was ejected from his vehicle and landed on top of a highway street sign. Here's a mother and daughter from the Mongbitu landed on top of.
Wait a minute, you know how high those things are? That's at least 3 stories or something, right? He landed on top of there. Wow.
A highway street
message by the Most High.
Sign. Here's a mother and daughter from the Mongbitu tribe in 1930.
Look at their elongated heads. Look at that.
They believe that the elongation of the head would allow the brain to grow larger, thus increasing intelligence. In 2013, Erica Negrelli suffered a seizure while pregnant and died on the way to the hospital. Her daughter Elena was born healthy via an emergency C-section.
This is the daughter, I assume.
But after the operation, Erica's heart miraculously started beating again. She was in a coma for 5 days before waking up and making a full recovery.
What? Oh, that's the mom. You guys get that one?
Creator of Raccoon, Erica Negrelli suffered a seizure while pregnant and died on the way to the hospital.
So the mom died on the way to the hospital.
Her daughter Elena was born healthy via an emergency C-section.
The daughter's born healthy, so the daughter's alive and the mother's laying dead on the table.
But after the operation, Erica's heart miraculously started beating again. She was
a mother's love for the child.
In a coma for 5 days before waking up and making a full recovery.
Or the child's love of the mother, that tiny heart. Yeah.
The creator.
That is now that's impressive right there. That's super impressive.
2020, a Kansas man died after being shot by his dog in a freak hunting accident. He was sitting in the front seat of his pickup truck when his dog stepped on the trigger of his rifle in the back seat. In 1909.
Wow. Damn, that dog looks like he loves him too. Well, shout out to the. Hey, what's up, Philip? How's it going, man? Rachel, she's like, what did we get into? I'm just doing these morbid facts and how we can use Scorpio and death as a way to get through things. A meditation on death, right? Yeah. Living through the dark night of the soul. That's what's going on right here in all these stories.
When his dog stepped on the trigger of his rifle in the back seat. In 1909, George Spencer Millett died in a freak accident while running away from 6 girls trying to give him kisses on his 15th birthday.
Oh no, icky.
He tripped and fell on an ink eraser in his front pocket that stabbed him in the heart.
Woo! That was very ironic. Damn.
2011, a 49-year-old Russian woman had a heart attack and was pronounced dead. A few days later, she
You look Asian, huh?
woke up at her own wake and was so shocked that she screamed and had another heart attack, this time dying for real.
Oh, come on, man. That sounds like a old wives' tale. Hey, but you never know, huh? You never know.
Morbid Facts, Part 616. In 2018, Demi Lovado was found unconscious in her Los Angeles home after ingesting a mix of heroin laced with fentanyl. Her assistant discovered her unresponsive and thought she was already dead since her skin had turned blue. Paramedics administered Narcan to save her life, but what followed was far worse than most people realize. Lovado suffered 3 strokes, a heart attack, and severe brain damage due to a prolonged lack of oxygen from the overdose.
Wow.
She was legally blind for several days and still has blind spots in her vision, which affect her ability to drive.
I mean, you think of them like this is some dorky, what is it called, American Idol contestant, but no, man, the rock star life. It's it's heavy.
She had developed organ failure and placed on dialysis as doctors told her she was only minutes away from death. Even after surviving, her motor skills were severely damaged and she had to relearn how to walk. Demi later admitted that she had asked her dealer for heroin but was instead given fentanyl without her knowledge.
I'm telling you, that fentanyl, man, ain't no joke. Put a 1 in the chat if you ever known anyone with a fentanyl addiction or that died from fentanyl. If they did, I'm sorry for your loss.
Lovado has since spoken openly about the trauma, referring to the near-death experience as the biggest wake-up call of her life. Morbid.
I bet it's the biggest wake-up call of her life. One, oh wow, Markella. Damn. Brown's boy, Morbid Fact. Queen of England had arrest warrants for the disappearance of a dozen children. Do your research on the topic. Same time every year, kids come up missing. Wow, that's horrible, dog. That is horrible. Chat. Give me the morbid facts you have in there.
Reclusive siblings Homer and Langley Collier lived in a Harlem townhouse and became notorious for their extreme hoarding. After Homer went blind, reclusive siblings Homer and Langley Collier lived in a Harlem townhouse and became notorious for their extreme hoarding. After Homer went blind in the 1930s, Langley quit his job to care for him and began compulsively collecting newspapers and junk, believing that Homer would one day get his sight back and need to catch up on the news. They booby-trapped their home with tunnels of debris to keep people out, eventually withdrawing completely from society. In March of 1947, police discovered Homer's body dead from starvation. Langley had died before him, but wasn't found until weeks later due to all the junk in the home. He'd been crushed to death by one of his own traps while trying to bring food to his brother.
Brotherly love to the end.
People living within a mile of a golf course have more than twice the odds of developing Parkinson's disease. This is due to continued exposure to certain pesticides, including neurotoxins, which are used to keep fairways and greens well groomed.
Interesting, because that's like seen as a really affluent place to live on a golf course, huh?
Exposure to certain pesticides, including neurotoxins, which are used to keep fairways and greens well groomed. In 2016, Melissa Ann Blair visited her murderous boyfriend Anthony Powell at the Oregon State Penitentiary and passed him 7 small balloons filled with methamphetamines while kissing him. Powell swallowed the balloons to smuggle them into the prison, but 2 of them ruptured in his stomach, leading to his eventual death from methamphetamine toxicity.
Damn, not that serious, guy. I guess it is.
In 2002, reclusive hoarder Bruce Andrew Roberts shot and killed an intruder who had...
Bruce Andrew Roberts. You gotta love when they use the middle name.
In 2002, reclusive hoarder Bruce Andrew Roberts shot and killed an intruder who had broken into his home. Instead of reporting the incident, Roberts hid the body in a spare bedroom, covered it with a rug, and used over 70 bottles of air freshener to mask the smell. He lived alongside the mummified corpse
70 bottles of air freshener
for 15 years until it was finally discovered during a cleanup after his death. At age 43...
Wow. Bronze Boy, Markella at Bronze Boy. I knew the myth of the Muffin Man, where he lured children with muffins and then grabbed them and took them in dark alleyways and unalived them. Do you know the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man? Now I know the Muffin Man who killed me on Cherry Lane. Right, Wicked. Brown's Boy. Synthetic fats also strips fertilizers also strip soil of nutrients, meaning you need to buy more. Sad cycle. Screw Monsanto's, right? Yeah. The Muffin Man, the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man.
French journalist Jean-Dominique Bauby suffered a bad stroke and became paralyzed. He ended up being diagnosed with the nightmarish condition of locked-in syndrome, where his mind was fully intact, but he couldn't move any part of his body except for one of his eyelids.
Damn, locked-in syndrome. Who is this guy? Was he like looks like some type of celebrity?
Journalist Jean-Dominique Bauby suffered a bad stroke and became paralyzed. He ended up being diagnosed with the nightmarish condition of locked-in syndrome, where his mind was fully intact, but he couldn't move any part of his body except for one of his eyelids. Barbie eventually blinked out a 130-page novel that was a bestseller, passing away just 2 days after it was published.
Amazing. I mean, getting through, like I said, the Scorpio energy of getting through the longest night of the soul or darkest night of the soul. Greetings. Good to see you, Opero. I know 5 people died from it. Fentanyl? Man, sorry for your loss, man. Yeah. Journey Lane, yeah, that's it. Morbid fact number 777. Gentrification's a vicious cycle. It is. Yeah, Sean, I'm sorry about that. That's a tragedy that's happening as we speak.
Actress
Brittney Murphy, born on the same day as me, November 10th, Thursday, November 10th, 1977, Scorpio. That's my birthday twin, really, right here. My soul sister, before we got here.
Actress Brittney Murphy and her husband both mysteriously passed away from pneumonia and severe anemia in their home only 5 months apart.
I never understood that. Anemia and pneumonia? What's going on?
Away from pneumonia and severe anemia in their home only 5 months apart. Murphy's mom believes both of them were victims of toxic mold. Jonah Hill had to be...
They always say that, toxic mold, like Gene Hackman and his wife. Okay, you know, a few people that passed away. I'm sorry for your loss. It is an epidemic. Probably a pandemic pretty soon. It's a very harsh drug. I don't see why anyone would want it to consume. I thought about that. My thing is like, they want to escape. They want to escape this reality that's heavy on them. That's the only thing I can think about it. They want to get so high that they even die. Could even die. Yeah. Now, what is fentanyl used for again? Isn't it an emergency drug to open up your lungs or something like that? Normally, I'm sure my scientists can tell me out there.
Hospitalized while filming The Wolf of Them were victims of toxic mold. Jonah Hill had to...
When crossplay goes wrong.
Believes both of them were victims of toxic mold. Jonah Hill had to be hospitalized while filming The Wolf of Wall Street after snorting too much fake cocaine. In 2021, an
fake cocaine, huh?
2-year-old man from Austria had the wrong leg amputated during surgery.
Ah, the wrong leg.
The man was told he would still need his other leg amputated as well. The hospital said the incident occurred as a result of a sequence of unfortunate circumstances.
You think?
Here's a devastating photo of a Colorado police officer distracting a little girl after her dad lost his life in a car accident.
Wow, that's a slice of life, huh? Look at that. Slice of life. Trying to get the payback for opium wars. With the fentanyl, yeah, I think so. It treats severe pain. That's what I thought it was. Yeah, it does. Thanks for that. In this case, the pain of mundane life for some people. What's up, Dennison? How's it going? What you got for us, man?
Yo.
Yeah.
I heard you wanted to get so high you wanted to die.
Yeah, man, I wanted to meet my own personal apocalypse. Right here and now, yeah. Allegedly.
Yeah.
I'll be careful with saying that, right? Because words are powerful. But I'm just kidding, just laugh, you know. Yeah, man, I was thinking about that because we hear fentanyl. And before it was the thing where I'm like, okay, those are just stories I hear on TV and stuff like that. But now, like, I actually know some people too that were addicts and people that died. And also there could be people on this, you know, in our chat and stuff, and they're listening that, you know, are dealing with that too. It's wild, man.
Do you think maybe our government has a deal with China in order to depopulate us?
I wouldn't doubt it. At least, you know, that if you're gonna go like truther stuff, there's something to be said that how China is the model, the beta test for the world, and how to subjugate people, enslave them, and kill them. Yeah. At this point, nothing's off the table, man. Yeah, buy me a coffee link is there for everybody. Thank you, Markella. Yeah, man, like these situations, all these morbid things, man. A lot of times we just glance by them. A lot of us don't even deal with death up until our own death. You know, don't really have a relative that died. Maybe you have a grandparent that passed away or something years by, or a pet or something. But yeah, when you lose like a child or a good friend and a parent too, that's really that's real life, man. That puts you through the ringer. Yeah.
Yeah, I've avoided
Isaac
death
Hayes,
for the
the
most part.
iconic.
You avoided it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of the things though that eventually the Reaper comes around, right? Yeah.
Not if Elon can save us.
Instead of dying on Earth, you can die on Mars.
I want that android body.
Yeah. Or you can become a Scientologist.
Isaac Hayes, the iconic soul singer who played Chef on South Park, left the show in 2006 under mysterious circumstances. A statement was released in his name, claiming he was against the show's mocking of Scientology, which he practiced. However, creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone were skeptical, noting his prior support for the show's satire of other religions. It turned out that at the time, Hayes had just suffered a debilitating stroke that impaired his ability to communicate, and his son later revealed that Isaac's fellow Scientologists spoke on his behalf while he was incapacitated. South Park responded with the episode The Return of Chef, portraying Chef as brainwashed by a cult before he's brutally killed off.
Yeah, they killed him pretty bad on the Temple of Doom Bridge. Kali Mal cult.
The show's creators assembled Chef's lines by splicing together audio clips from previous episodes.
No, Chef, they filled your head with lies. Can't you see that?
Get the hell out of here!
Hayes tragically died in 2008 after being found unconscious next to a running treadmill, the result of another stroke.
Yeah. I got a comment in here. What's up, Lizard Tree? Where did he go? I mean, he went to heaven. What do you mean? Yeah. Max Visions was a comment. Max Vision remote viewing class. The planned future is biodigital conversion. At least that's what the government says. You have thoughts on that? D-Man?
I can't see it. What do you say?
The planned future is biodigital. It's a biodigital conversions. At least that's what the government says.
Yeah, I'm hoping that comes sooner than later. I'm not trying to die of old age out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can live forever, huh? In the digital space, or at least for a long time. Anyway.
Yeah, I figure if I got an android body, I could live for like a few hundred years. That's good enough for me. This fucking 80 years old shit is bullshit. And then you spend the last 20 of it sick.
Yeah, that's pretty tough. I'm pushing for at least not 80 for me, so that way my son is as old as me when I passed away. Not when I excuse me when I was born, when he was born. So he was born when I was 40. So let me just do the same for him at least. Get up to that age. We'll see.
Yeah, but I want to be able to go to new planets and bang chicks there when I'm 120. I don't want to be in a chair smoking my pipe, telling my grandchildren about the good old days.
Yeah. So you want to be like the real life what's Fry, not Frylock, Fry from what you would call it, Futurama. He had a life, man.
But he just traveled forward in time, though, didn't he?
He did. Yes, he did.
I want to actually live those years.
Okay.
And then, around 300, maybe 250 to 300, then I can start getting old, Yeah.
And we're talking biblical Old Testament years. Maybe you could become Sid Vicious on another planet.
Morbid Facts, Part 483. In 1978, Sex Pistols bassist Sid Vicious and his girlfriend Nancy Spungen hosted a party in their New York City hotel room. The morning after which, Nancy was found dead in the bathroom with a single stab wound to her abdomen. Despite being comatose on drugs the entire night and having zero recollection, Vicious admitted to the stabbing and was charged with her murder. Many believe that Nancy was actually killed by a drug dealer who was attempting to rob the drugged-up couple, and that Vicious was totally incapable of harming her considering the state he was in. But the bass player ended up dying of a drug overdose while out on bail before he could stand trial, and the case was closed.
Sid and Nancy, I think, is the movie that depicts his story.
Morbid Facts, Part 618. Beloved by millions, Latina singer Selena was on the verge of global superstardom when cracks began to show behind the scenes of her fame. One of her most devoted fans, Yolanda Saldivar, had pushed her way into Selena's inner circle, first as president of her fan club, then as manager of her boutiques. But what began as genuine admiration eventually spiraled into obsession and control. Yolanda grew possessive, isolating Selena from others, and was soon suspected of embezzling money. In March of 1995, Selena met her at a Corpus Christi motel to retrieve crucial financial documents. Backed into a corner and fearing exposure, Yolanda pulled out a revolver and shot Selena in the back as she tried to leave. Selena managed to run nearly 400 feet to the lobby, leaving a trail of blood behind her before collapsing. With her final breath, she named her killer as Yolanda Saldivar, the woman who was once her biggest fan.
Dang. Yeah, that's a story that's been played out before. Your biggest fan became your biggest enemy. This is excuse me. What's up, Sydney? I remember the day she passed. Yeah, I can only imagine you being a Latina and then also living in Texas, the home state of Selena. Like how that would be a big deal. It's kind of like I remember where I was when Tupac died. I was in the dorms at Long Beach State, eating lunch. Yeah,
What's Zeph talking about?
What's who talking about? She said,
Zeph.
Yikes, that wasn't nice. Did I mishear that? What the? I don't know. What the hell? You shall see. Yolanda was just denied parole recently. Good.
Yeah, again. Did you do a segue? Did I do a segue?
No.
Did I say something yikesy?
I don't know, man.
I do have that tendency.
The only segue I remember with the Sid Vicious intergalactic
planetary
man whore segue. That's about it. Yeah. Let's see. I've been in the family museum. They had their stuff there, and even her car. Yeah, Selena, dude. That's the Yeah, that's made Jennifer Lopez. That movie. I mean, she was a fly girl from Living Color, but that movie really put her on notice for everyone to see. Let's do one more. OJ. All right.
This 1994 photo shows OJ holding hands with his children at the funeral of their mother and his ex-wife, Nicole Simpson Brown. She was brutally stabbed to death, purportedly by OJ himself, even though he was famously acquitted in court a few months later. During the funeral, OJ reportedly spent a significant amount of time with Nicole's body and was even seen kissing her on the lips. OJ's father was a well-known drag queen in San Francisco.
Oh, they gotta do him like that, yeah. Yeah, he did go to Galileo High. No, where'd he go? Yeah, Galileo High School in San Francisco.
And died of AIDS in 1986. Soon after OJ was acquitted, he wrote a book called If I Did It. It was a hypothetical description of the murders if he had actually committed them. And he knew he wouldn't be tried in court thanks to double jeopardy laws. The victims' families responded by suing and won all rights to the book, eventually changing the word "if" to appear really small on the cover. But in the nearly 30 years since Ron Goldman's family won a $33.5 million civil judgment against OJ for wrongful death, he had only paid the family about $500K.
What'd you say? Why?
She was alright.
Now she could have been talking about Nicole Simpson or Selena. Yeah.
I mean, same. I think J-Lo was hotter than Selena.
Yeah.
Was Selena really going to be famous before she died?
She was
I don't
good
think
person.
That's true.
Well,
I think they hyped up her popularity after she died.
Yeah, that's the case a lot of times. But in terms of, I think, what's it called, Tejano music, that Mexican like banda type music, like that she was big already in Texas with that
Yeah, but
huge. Listen, okay, excuse me, real quick. Like she was big already with that, and supposedly she was just crossing over with that song, "If I Should Fall in
it,
Love with You" and all that. So who knows, man? She obviously
uh,
was in her way up. Yeah,
I grew up around the Tejano scene, though. I ain't never heard of her.
really. Yeah, I grew up Chicano. I mean, I heard of her, but it wasn't like, yeah, I was bumping that music or anything. Yeah. Now I like that music, like banda and narco music, like Chileno Sanchez, all that stuff. Rest in peace. But yeah, that's another guy we got to get into next time. So just a final word about before we get out of here, Scorpio. You know, Scorpio death as an advisor, right? I say whether you're a sun, moon, or rising of Scorpio, uh, and anyone that's just lived through some dark nights of the soul, you can definitely learn from those experiences, and whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You know, we've heard that one. Some of us know it better than others. Yeah. And I think that these morbid facts video, they can be seen as edgy or toxic, but it definitely tells a lot of stories about people who are resilient and push through, right? So you don't really win anything by avoiding death, but you can definitely win. You can win some peace of mind when yours finally comes. Probably the more you know about it. Uh, I'll just say this for everyone, Dennison, people in the chat: uh, enjoy your life now, yeah. And
Sounds like a threat.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, like how Scorpios love, get that power, level up like Goku, right? So drop a scorpion in the chat if you ever been through hell and came back sharper.
She.
Drop drop a skull in the chat if you're learning to face your darkness and use it as fuel. Okay. Yeah. Said she was starting to cross over in pop music. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll speak for myself. I don't run from death around here. At least on these videos, right? Yeah. We're learning from it. So, Dennison, you got anything to say?
Nope.
Oh, what's up? Hey, what's up? What's up, Daddy? Fab Daddy? How's it going,
What
man?
up, Fab Daddy?
Yeah.
Hey, well, you asked me when I first joined to like come on up, and I was like, my phone was almost dead, so I thought I'd come on up here today. What's the conversation, gentlemen?
Well,
It's
it
about how
was,
he's shutting down the show.
but it was Scorpio and Scorpio energy, and why we that death energy can be a superpower in terms of like learning from dark experiences, in particular death. We were
Wow,
watching these videos.
That's some shit you're slinging right there. I'm just gonna say it right now. I just don't believe in that. But
Okay.
okay,
Fair enough.
Scorpio. I'm a Sagittarius. You know, I
Yeah.
read horoscopes, and I
Yeah.
swear that like 9 out of the 12 that I read every week, I could put to my life in one fashion or another if I wanted to.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
point, because you're not just your sun sign. You have like a moon, sun. You have your moon, Mercury, different houses. So you probably have some of those horoscopes you're reading in the paper, like somewhere prominent in your chart. That's why they seem to make sense, and that's so yeah, pretty interesting how you can get value out of that.
Do you have
Yeah.
like a hard end here, or can you go long?
No, I gotta go. I gotta take my son Ben to school right now.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be. I appreciate you coming up, man. Sorry to cut out, pimp off,
No,
but
no.
I gotta
We'll
go.
catch up later. It's all good, man. All right.
Yeah,
I'm not a stranger anymore. So,
I
good.
suppose I could go live.
We know you. Yeah, yeah.
all
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Peace out,
Yeah.
guys.
If Dennison's wait, hold on. Dennison's gonna go live. He says he might go live. Or he's gonna go live, right? So people hop over there.
Yeah.
Here's the.
Yeah.
Do you have your link, Dennison? What's up, Snow?
Really.
Here, I'm gonna put it in right now. Oh, he's live right now. There we go. Yeah. So, guys, check this out. This is Dennison's. We're gonna do this the old school way. Here's the link for Dennison. Fab Daddy, I'm gonna put it in the back chat for you to make it even easier for you to hop over there.
That current
he'll
live.
link it if he wants people up on the stage. I don't know. I'm not.
No, I'm saying this is just the link to the show. He's live right now.
The current live will end once you shut yours down, and I'll have to make a new one.
Okay. So yeah, Fab Daddy, nice to meet you, brother. And we can talk about these things some more. I go live Monday through Friday, so I'll be here tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern.
Since I've subscribed, you're on quite often. Good job. Yeah. I hope that you make a success out of this and what you want out of this. I hope that for you. Yeah. Okay, brother.
Thank you, Daddy. That sounds weird, but I'll say it. Thank you, Daddy. You got me to say it. No pause. All right, I'll see you guys later.
Just call me Fab.
All right, Fab.
There you
go. Right there. Untrackable. Good to see you right there. All right, brother. See you. All right, Mr. Dennison. Yeah, maybe I'll hop over there if you're live when I get back.
Okay. Oh, nice. That'd be nice.
All right. We'll see you soon. We're gonna off into the sunset to Dennison's thing with a little Erykah Badu. Didn't you know?
Hell yeah.
All right. Peace, y'all. Scorpio energy.